Hello guys, in this video we're going to add Cognito Authentication to your Next.js project. Cognito is authentication and authorization service from AWS, similar to Auth 0 or Okta. Cognito has several benefits, and one of those benefits is secure storage of user information. Users are stored in Cognito in user pools. We will set up a user pool first. Then we're going to install and configure Amplify library. Amplify library will let us easily talk to Cognito. We will add sign up with email verification, sign in and sign out features. After that, we're going to protect routes accessed by signed in user with Next.js middleware. We will also implement a basic ACL, access control levels, where admin users will have their own area and have access to that area. We will enable users to change their profile information. They'll be able to change name, email, and password. And when user will be changing email, we will make sure that email is verified. Finally, we will implement reset password functionality, a feature any authentication application needs. I hope you like this video, and if you do, please hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss videos like this in the future. Well, let's get started. Authentication is a key part of many web applications. It's how a system checks if the user is who they say they are. There are many options available for Next.js authentication, but what are the benefits of using Cognito? Personal identifiable information security. AWS takes all the responsibility of you, the developer, to ensure users' personal information is properly protected and passwords are securely stored. Auth integration. No need to write your own code to manage user sessions and authentication tokens. AWS set of APIs allows you to simply issue calls to Cognito to validate tokens or get new ones. Integration with alternative identity providers. From Facebook to Google and even SAML, Cognito gives you the ability to add additional sign-in options for your users relatively easily. Quick startup. Simply set up your Cognito user pool, hook into the APIs, and you're off and running. This is a huge benefit when you want to prototype an application or want to be able to focus on providing functionality in your application. We are going to use Amplify library to hook into Cognito's APIs. So in this first lesson, we will look at how to set up Cognito user pool on AWS Cloud and how to configure Amplify library in the Next.js project. I am in Next.js Cognito Auth project in branch 1 Amplify setup start. The final result of this lesson is in 1 Amplify setup and branch. If you would like to follow along, please clone this repo. The link to the repo is in the description. Let's look at the diagram of how we are going to use AWS Cognito with Next.js. Here we have Next.js application that has front-end and a back-end. Front-end runs in a user browser and back-end runs on a server. AWS Amplify library runs on a front-end and communicates to Cognito user pool to sign up, log in, log out, user, and do some other actions. AWS Amplify library also sets cookies in user's browser to persist the state. Then those cookies are passed to the backend, where Amplify library gets authenticated user from those cookies, and this authenticated user can be used in middleware or handlers. Now that you know how the authentication will work, let's go ahead and configure Cognito user pool and set up Amplify library. I am in AWS console in Amazon Cognito, so let's go ahead and click on create user pool. In Cognito user pool sign-in options, we're going to select email. And be careful, Cognito user pool sign-in options can be changed after user pool has been created. So when you're creating user pool, think ahead, because if you decide to change sign-in options, right, to add a new one like phone number, you will technically have to create a completely new user pool. And then you will have to kind of migrate your users from the old user pool into a new user pool. Let's go ahead and click next. For the password policy, we're going to be using Cognito defaults. For MFA, we're going to select no MFA. And for user account recovery, we're going to keep email only. In the configure sign up experience, we will keep self-registration on. We will allow Cognito to automatically send messages to verify and confirm. We're going to be using email message to verify email address, and we're going to keep original attribute value active when an update is pending. So, and active attributes values when an update is pending will be an email address. In the required attributes, we are going to go ahead and select name, but you can select some other options if your application requires it. Again, note that required attributes can be changed once this user pool has been created. Again, if you think you will need some other required attribute, just go ahead and create it, and you can put just default value, right, in the beginning, and then later on, when you decide to roll out that required attribute, you can just use user input. You can also create your own custom attribute. Custom attributes will be prepended with a custom and column to your attribute name. Let's say if you would like to create an attribute, say type, right, it's going to be custom : type. But we're not going to create any custom attributes. Let's go ahead and remove it and click next. In configure message delivery, we're going to select send email with Cognito. However, if you're going to roll out to production, you'll need to select email with Amazon SaaS, and this can be changed later. What you do, you develop against, send email with Cognito, and then later on you choose email with Amazon SaaS, and then you'll have to do some more configuration. You'll have to configure SaaS as well, and SaaS stands for Simple Email Service, right? So you can go through this stuff when you roll out your application into production. But for now, like I said, we're going to select send email with Cognito. We keep the defaults and click next. Finally, we're going to choose name for our Cognito user pool. We're going to call it Next.js Auth tutorial. We are not going to be using hosted UI. We're going to be hosting user interface to sign in, sign up, and log out ourselves. We also need to configure app client. This app client will be communicating with our Cognito user pool, and we can call it Next.js app client. We're not going to generate secret, right? So there are some advanced client settings, and here we need to be sure that allow user SRP auth is selected, and SRP stands for Secure Remote Password Protocol, and this protocol is used by default by AWS Amplify library. There are some other flows here, and you can select them, and in order to use them, you will have to specify this flow in your library when you, for example, signing up user. But we're gonna leave the flows as is. Another section is attribute read and write permissions, right? And when you configure that, by default, you're gonna have your read and write permissions on all these attributes. And we can see that name, we have read and write permissions. Also, when you create custom attributes by default, right, it's going to be right here. And if you wanted to have it writable, make sure you selected write permissions for that attribute. We're not going to add any tags and just click next. So let's go ahead and review real quick. Everything looks good. And let's go ahead and click create user pool. Now let's go ahead and configure Amplify library in our Next.js project. So we're going to be installing AWS Amplify and at AWS Amplify adapter for Next.js. This adapter will be used to run Amplify library on the server side. All right, Amplify libraries are installed. Let's go ahead and create Amplify Cognito configuration file. So we're going to go into the SRC folder, app folder, and then we're going to create a file called Amplify Cognito config.cs. Let's hit enter. And in this file, we're going to put the following code. We're going to have use client directive because we're going to be configuring Amplify on the client side, right? So we're going to import Amplify and type resource config. And then we're going to create a config for Cognito authentication. So we're going to put Cognito and user pool ID, which we will put in the env variables, next public user pool ID, and then user pool client, we're going to put in the next public user pool client ID. Next, we're going to call Amplify configure and pass the config we created. And also, we need to be sure that we put SSR true, server-side rendering true. This will make Amplify use cookies for state storage, because by default, Amplify use local storage for your state storage. Finally, we're going to export default function, configure Amplify client side, and we're going to return null because this component won't have any UI. We want to configure Amplify library on the client as early as possible. So we're going to go into the root layout right over here, and instead of this body right here, we're going to paste the following code. We're going to insert the configure Amplify client side component right over here, and we need to import it as well. And we're going to import it from app Amplify Cognito config. Next, we need to configure Amplify library to run on the server side. So let's go ahead, and in the src folder, we're going to create a new folder called utils. And in this folder, we're going to create a new file, and this file will be called amplify server utils.cs. Let's go ahead and put the following code in here. We're going to be importing out a config from Amplify Cognito config, and we are going to import create server runner from AWS Amplify adapter Next.js. And what we're interested in is actually running with Amplify server context. So we're going to export this, and we're going to be creating server runner with the config that we just created. Finally, let's define environment variables. So in the root of our project, let's create a new file called .env.example. And in this file, we're going to put the following. We're going to have next public user pool ID and next public user pool client ID, since we're going to be using these variables on the front end and the back end actually too. So we're going to prefix it with a next public. So now let's create also .env file where we're going to put the same variables, but now we're going to assign the value to them. And before doing that, let's go into gitignore, because by default Next doesn't put .env file in a gitignore. It uses .env.local or .production. You can use those env files. I just prefer to use .env file. So let me go ahead and put it in the gitignore. Save all the changes. Now let's switch again into .env file, and let's go ahead and grab those env variables. So first we will need the pool ID. So let's go to AWS console. We're going to click on our created user pool, and then user pool ID will be right here. Let's go ahead, copy this. We'll go back to our Next.js project, and we paste it right here. Now let's go ahead and grab the pool client ID. To get that value, we're going to click on app integration, and we're going to scroll all the way down where we have app clients, and we have the app client that we created when we set up the user pool. And right here, we have client ID. Let's go ahead and copy that. Let's go back to the project, and we can paste it in right over here. And we're all set. So we configured Cognito user pool on AWS cloud. And when configuring the pool, be careful, plan ahead, because certain parameters or values you won't be able to change. Then we also set up Amplify library in Next.js project. And in Next.js project, you need to set up front end, and you also need to set server utils to use Amplify library on the back end. In this lesson, we're going to look at how to implement sign up and email verification, sign in and sign out. I am in Next.js Cognito Auth project in branch 2 authentication start. The final result of this lesson is in 2 authentication and branch. If you would like to follow along, please clone this repo. The link to the repository is in the description. Let's go ahead and start our application and check out what we have. We're going to run npm run dev. So let's go to the localhost 3000. And right here, we have our application. This is an index page. We have a login link. If we click on a login, we have a login page right here. If you don't have an account, sign up link, then click on that. And we have our sign up page. And we also have a confirm sign up page. So if I go right here, I'm going to have a confirm your account. And then it says the email, and then you can enter your code. You can click confirm, or if user haven't received verification code, they can click resend verification code. Now let's go back to the project and take a look at the code that enables this functionality. So we have a Next.js project that has src folder. In this src folder, we have an app folder where we have the routes, and we have a dashboard right here. We also have our index page that you just saw, and then we also have an auth. And in this auth, we have confirm sign up, login, sign up, and then we have a shared layout right here. So if we go to sign up, for example, we have the page and it shows the sign up form. The same is for login and confirm sign up. So all these forms are located in the UI folder. If we open UI folder, we can see that our user interface is organized in auth, dashboard, and there will be other folders for other pages. If we click on the auth, we can see authentication forms, right? Let's take a look at the sign up form. And this is basically the form that has an action of dispatch, and we're using use form state, and then we use function handle sign up. And this handle sign up function comes from Cognito actions. If we go to send verification form, it works the same way. It has handle email verification code that again comes from Cognito actions. And then login kind of works the same way, and confirm sign up code as well. So if we look at the form, so it's just a basic form with the fields, right? And then at the bottom, we have the button. This button also uses use form status, right? And we can show the status and disable button if this button is pending. So if you click on this button, in our case, confirm, because we're in confirm sign up form, it's going to submit this form to the action handle confirm sign up. And this action again is in Cognito actions. So let's go to that lib folder and look at these Cognito actions, how they work. So if we open it and scroll all the way up, right, we have basically the stubs for the actions, right? And you can see these actions actually run on a client side. We don't have use server directive. So let's go ahead and actually put the real code in here. So let me select all here, delete, and put some code that will actually use Cognito Amplify library, right? So let's go ahead and go through this code, right? We are importing sign up, confirm sign up, sign in, sign out, and resend sign up code from AWS Amplify Auth. And we're also importing get error message from utils get error message, but we don't have it yet. We're going to create it in a little bit. So let's take a look at the handle sign up function. It basically calls sign up from the Amplify library. And you can see it gives you is sign up complete, user ID, or next step. I'm not using it, but I'm showing it to you in case you want to use the return of sign up function. As you can see, in order to sign up user, we need username and password, and we're taking it from the form, email and password. And we also need to have user attributes, as in the previous lesson, we created a name. So we're going to be using email as user attribute and name, because this name is also required. And we also turn on auto sign in. So we will not gonna do sign in just yet. We're gonna wait till the next lesson where we implement middleware, and then we're gonna use auto sign in. So when a user confirms email, they don't have to go and sign in, they will get signed in automatically. Okay, so we're gonna catch error. We're gonna use get error message function. As I said earlier, it's not a good idea to cast this error into type any. You want to keep it as unknown, because in JavaScript, everything can be thrown as an error. And then we're gonna redirect to auth confirm sign up, because user needs to confirm their email. Next, we're going to have an action handle send email verification code. So in case the user didn't get their code in the email, right, we want to try to resend it, and the resend code button will actually call this action, right? And we're going to be resending the sign up code to user's email. The next function is handle confirm sign up. And again, it has a return, which I'm not using, but you may want to use it. So we're going to be collecting email and the code on the confirm sign up page. And then we're going to be confirming, the email. Again, if error happens, we use get error message function. And if everything goes well, we're going to redirect to auth login. And as I said earlier, after we implement middleware, we'll actually change it and we'll just auto sign in user right here. Now we have handle sign in function. It also kind of works in the same way. We collect email and password, and we're also using the next step return here because there can be different actions, right? And we check if this is confirm sign up. We're gonna resend the code to the user, and we're gonna redirect to confirm sign up. The reason we're doing it is because user may not confirm their email on the initial sign up, right? Maybe forgot, something happened. So, and then when they come back and try to sign up, it's going to tell them, oh, we already, have you in the system. So you're going to have to log in. So when they log in, we're going to redirect them to confirm sign up page again, so they can confirm their email since they haven't confirmed it previously, right? However, if everything goes well and user signs up, right, we're going to redirect them to dashboard. So the next function will be handle sign out. And this function is pretty simple. It will call Amplify's library sign out method. And if everything goes well, we're going to redirect user to login page. And of course, if there is a message, we're going to return the error. And for the context, right, the sign out button is actually located in the dashboard, and we have this logout form. This button will be on the dashboard on the very bottom in the sidebar. Finally, in the utils, we're going to create get error message.cs file, and we're going to put the function get error message in here. This function will check what instance the error is and appropriately return the error message. So now we are ready to test the code. All right, now let's go ahead and switch to the browser. We're going to click on the login. However, we don't have any accounts just yet, so we're going to click on the sign up. So now in order to sign up, we need an email, and there is a tempmail.org. So you can go there and you can get there at temp mail. So we're going to use whatever temp mail they provided for us. So let's go ahead and use this email to sign up into our application. Let's put an email and put name. And then we're going to put the password right here. Let's hit create account, and we got redirected to confirm your account. All right, let's go ahead and put the email address. And again, you can actually pass maybe this email from the sign up form, so user doesn't have to enter it. So, but we're not going to obviously do that because it's not in the scope of this tutorial. We're more interested in the process itself, signing up and confirming account. So let's go ahead and enter the code. And the code will be in the temp mail right here. And you can see Cognito send us verification code. Let's go ahead and click on that. And we're going to copy this code. And then we're going to use it to verify the account. Let's go ahead and click confirm. And we are redirected to sign in page. All right, let's put our email again. And we'll enter the password in order to sign in. And we are redirected to the dashboard. As you can see, we're in the dashboard. There is this sign out button. So, but before we do that, let's actually take a look at the cookies that were set by the Amplify library. So if we go to application, and if we go to here cookies, right? So you're going to see that there's a bunch of cookies that are set up by the Amplify. And these cookies, as I said before, are going to get passed to the server side where Amplify library will get the user for us. All right, let's go ahead and click on the sign out, and it redirected us to the login page. So again, if we're going to look at the cookies right here, right? So on the application, We're going to see on the local host now the cookies are all cleared. And that's it for this lesson. As you can see, it was really easy to create sign up, log in, and log out functionality with Amplify library. In this lesson, we will look at authorization. Just to recap, authentication is about making sure the user is who they say they are. You're providing your identity with something like a username and a password. Authorization decides what parts of the application the user is allowed to use. So in this lesson, we're going to learn how to set up middleware to grant or forbid users access to various parts of application. I am in Next.js Cognito Auth project in branch 3 authorization start. The final result of this lesson is in 3 authorization end branch. If you would like to follow along, please clone this repo. The link to the repository is in the description. Let's do a little refresher and take a look at the diagram. Middleware in Next.js runs on the server side. So the client passes cookies to the server, so the middleware knows about the authenticated user. Before we create middleware, however, we're going to make the Amplify library to get that authenticated user. So let's go to utils, Amplify server utils.ts file that we created earlier. Amplify provides Next.js adapters, so we can call Amplify methods in the server context and don't worry about dealing with the cookies. Let's go ahead and import Next server. Next, we're going to import fetch auth session and get current user, and we are going to be importing it from AWS Amplify/auth/server. And this is important because we're going to be calling this on the server side. And now let's go ahead and create an export function called authenticated user. We pass context to this function, and this can be an object with request and response or an object with the cookies. We will call the function run with Amplify server context. This function will take an object as an argument. The first will be next server context, where we pass the context, and the second property of this object will be operation, and there will be an async function where we get a context spec. First, we're going to call fetch auth session function from AWS Amplify library, the server side, right? And we're going to pass it context spec. And this function will give us session, so it's going to use the cookies and then return us the session. And if that session doesn't have tokens, then we're just simply going to return. If there are tokens, then we're going to attempt to get a current user, and we're going to be using getCurrentUser function from AWS Amplify library, passing again context spec because we are on the server side. And then we'll also add our own property. It's going to be isAdmin false. Next, we're going to check tokens on a session, and specifically we're going to check access token and see if its payload has property Cognito::groups. This property appears in a token if a group is created in Cognito user pool and user is added to the group. Then we're going to check if those groups array includes admin's group. And this group we're going to create in Cognito in a little bit. So, and if it does, then we assign user is admin to true. And finally, we're going to return user. And obviously, if something's happened, we're going to catch an error and console log it. Now let's go ahead and create the actual middleware. So in the src folder, we're going to create a new file and call it middleware.ts. And we're going to put the following code in there. So middleware in Next.js exports middleware function, and also it exports config. Config defines what routes to apply middleware to, and in our case, we have match all requests path except for the one starting with, and we have starting with API _next/static or _next/image or the PNG files. Middleware function is where the middleware logic happens. Middleware takes next request as a parameter, and we're going to assign next response.next to the response. We also going to get the user by calling the function that we created, authenticated user, and we're going to pass a context to it. In this case, we have request and response, so we're going to be passing an object with a request and response. We're also going to define two constants, is on dashboard, and that's when the path or route starts with /dashboard, and then is an admin area, that's where the path starts with /dashboard/admins. Then we're going to do some logic with if statements. So we're going to check if, the user is on a dashboard page and we have authenticated user, or in our case, if we don't have authenticated user, we're just going to redirect user to the login. And then we're also going to check if we're on the admin area and the user that we have is not admin, because we already checked, right? At this point, we have a user, but if this user is not admin, we just redirect that user to the dashboard page, right? And then if everything passes, we will return response, and response is next response.next. So we'll just pass the code to the next stack. And then also in else if statement, we're going to check if we actually have the user, right? The user is authenticated. So we're going to redirect the user to dashboard. For example, if user going to try to go to the login page, right? But user is already logged in, we don't want user to go to that logged in page, right? We just want to redirect them straight to dashboard. And that's it for the middleware. Now, remember we had that auto sign-in option set to true in Cognito Actions, right? Well, it's time to use this function now that we have the middleware in place. Let's go to lib Cognito Actions, and right here we can import auto sign-in function. So let's do auto sign-in, and then we're going to scroll all the way down where we call handle confirm sign up, and after confirm sign up function is called, we can put auto sign in, and then it will get redirected automatically to the dashboard because the user will be already signed in. Now let's go to Cognito user pool and create that admins group. As you can see, we already have one user in here. This is from the previous lesson. So let's go ahead and click on the groups, and then we're going to create group, and the group name will be admins with a capital A. We need to spell it the same way we did in the code, and everything else we'll just leave as is. All right, the group is created. Let's click on this group, and then we're going to add user to this group, and we can add this single user, right? So let's click add, and this user now is admin. Let's go ahead and test our code. Let's run npm run dev, and we're going to go and switch again to the browser, and we're going to create one more user. So we need to delete this email in the temp mail, and then it's going to give us a new email. So let's go ahead and use this email to create another user. Let's go to our sign up page. Let's paste the email and enter name, and then we're going to enter password. All right, let's click create account. Okay, now we need to confirm this account. Let's enter email again, and then going to go and check if we got the code. And we got the verification code. Let's click on it, copy it, and then going to paste it in here. All right, let's click confirm, and we should be redirected to the dashboard page because we don't need to sign in since we're using auto sign in. So right here, I also put an admin area, and since our user is not an admin, so this user shouldn't be able to access this page. So let's click on it, and as you can see, we are still staying on the dashboard. So the middleware works just fine. Now let's go ahead and remove the dashboard and try to go to the index page. As you can see, we're getting redirected to the dashboard again since we're logged in. Let's go ahead and sign out. And now let's attempt to get to the dashboard. And again, we're going to be redirected to the login page because we are not signed in. Let's go back to the code and take a look at that admin area link. So let's go to the UI, and then we can go to the dashboard, and there is a side nav right over here. And as you can see, it uses the nav links right here. So we can go to the nav links, and we are in the nav links component, right? So that links are generated through the array, right? There is home, there is a invoices dashboard, this page doesn't exist. There is also customers, which doesn't exist. And then we checking, right?
if it is true. So we're going to show the admin link, right? The admin area. And if you're going to go to the dashboard, right, in the pages, we can see there is admins page, but currently it just says admin area. So my point here is, if we know who the user is, meaning whether the user is admin or not, we don't have to show this admin link, right? We can just hide it for non-admin users, and then we can show it for admin users. So let's do exactly just that. So if we go back to navlinks.tsx file, right, what we're going to be doing, we're going to be checking right here if the user is admin, then we're going to push that link in. If not, we're not going to do it. We already got the authenticated user on the back end in the middleware, so we're going to be doing similar thing on the front end. So, and for that, we can use a custom hooks, right? So let's go ahead in the app folder. We can create a new folder called hooks. And in this folder, we're going to create a new file, and we're going to call it use auth user.tsx. And it's going to be our hook, right? So let's go ahead and place the following code in this custom hook. All right, so let's take a look what we're going to be doing. So we're going to be importing fetch auth session, fetch user attributes, and get current user. And we're going to be importing it from AWS Amplify /auth. And since we're on the client side, we don't have to put /server and pass any context to it. And we're going to import use effect and use state from the React. So first, we're going to have our state, user, and set user, and user will be record, string any, and then we're going to have use effect, and we're going to have a function get user. So in this function, we'll basically get auth session, right? The same way we did in the backend in the middleware. It will check if there are tokens in this session, and of course, if not, it's going to return undefined, right? And if there is a user, so we're going to get current user, and we're also going to get user attributes, because later on in the next lesson, we'll actually need user attributes. We're going to look at how to change them. And then again, we're going to have is admin assigned to false. And then we're going to check the groups on the access token, and if they exist, and one of them is admins, we will assign is admin to true. And then we're going to set user, and we're going to set that user in our use state. Finally, let's update navlinks component to use this custom hook, right? So we're going to import it. Let's get this user from auth use auth user, right? Const user equals to use auth user. All right. And now in this if statement, we can check if user is admin, right? Let's go ahead and save changes. So now we'll go back to the browser, and now we can see that that link actually disappeared. So the user is not an admin, so we're not showing that admin link. So let's go ahead and sign out. And now we can go back to our user pool, right? And we know that the second user, right, this one is an admin. So let's go ahead, copy this email and try to log in with this user. And then we're going to put the password. Let's click login. And as you can see, it logged us in. And we do have right here the admin area, right? And if we click on this admin area, it should let us go into this admin area. And this is it for this lesson. So we learned how to get authenticated user using AWS Amplify library on both Next.js server and client. And we use this authenticated user, or the lack of it, to protect our routes in the middleware and conditionally display UI. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to enable users to personalize their app experience. We will learn how users can change their attributes such as name, how they can change and verify their attributes such as an email, and finally, how they can change their password. I am in Next.js Cognito Auth project in branch 4, Manage Profile Start. The final result of this lesson is in 4, Manage Profile End branch. If you would like to follow along, please clone this repo. The link to the repository is in the description. Now let's switch to the browser to see what we have so far. Right here, I created a profile link, right? If you click on it, you can see the profile settings where users can update their name, email, and password. So when your user is gonna update their name, they're gonna, click update name, and there will be message that the name updated or an error message. When user updates their email, there will be a field for the user to insert the confirmation code, right? And the code will be sent to the user's email. And finally, if the user is gonna update password, right? So we're gonna put whatever password we have here, it doesn't matter. And it's gonna say password updated successfully. Obviously, none of these forms work, right? It's just a dummy logic in there. So let's go ahead and see how it looks in the code. All right, let's go ahead and go to the dashboard. And we also have a profile right over here. And this is going to be our profile page. And it has 3 forms: update profile form, update password form, and update email form. So let's go ahead and take a look at those forms. So in the update profile form, we use the form state and we use handle update user attribute action. So we're dispatching that action. And here we have name. And basically we are showing the error or a success message. And we have an update button where we show button disabled if the use form status is pending. Now let's go to update email form. In the same way, we are dispatching handle update attributes, and this handle update attribute is the same as update name, and we're going to have a logic in there to differentiate whether it's a name or email, because if it's an email we need to confirm it, and that's why you have handle confirm attribute. So we are going to be dispatching handle update attribute first to get the email, and then if we have an error, we are done. However, if we have a message that we need to confirm, right, status or confirm the code, so we're gonna collect the code from the user, and we're gonna be using handle confirm user attribute action. Finally, let's go to update password form. Again, we have a handle update password action. And when we dispatching it, right, we're collecting the current password, and then we collecting also new password, displaying error if there is any, or a success message, and then we have an update button right here, again disabled when use form status is pending. All the actions as usual are incognito actions, right? And if we scroll all the way down to handle update password or handle confirm attributes or handle update user attributes, we can see that we have here some dummy implementation that we're gonna update. So in order to communicate to Cognito and use those actions, let's go ahead and do just that, right? So let's go to the very top, and we're gonna import a few more functions right here, actually 3 functions and a type from Amplify Auth library. So we're going to have update user attribute, then we're going to have a type update user attribute output, where we're going to be checking whether we still need to confirm user attribute or not. And then we're going to have a confirm user attribute function and update password. Let's go back to the very bottom and update those functions. We can just take out handle user attributes and everything below and paste the new code here. So let's go ahead and take a look at the code. So first we have handle update user attribute. And here I'm collecting the name or email. Actually, I'm doing a little bit of a gymnastics here to kind of quasi-validate it, right? If it's empty, I'm not going to be submitting. I'm just returning empty. But if it's not, then I'm going to be submitting. And actually, I'm deciding, which attribute key is, whether it's a name or email. There are better ways of doing it in the forms itself, but I don't want to spend time on that because we are really interested in communicating to Cognito rather than validating inputs in the form. Then we have try catch, and we call update user attribute, and we put attribute key and attribute value. There is also function update user attributes in AWS Amplify library. So if you want to update multiple attributes, you can use update user attributes. In our case, I'm just updating one attribute, so I use update user attribute. Then I'm calling handle update user attribute next steps function. And in this function, we check what's the output, right? What's the next step? And if next step is done, right, we just return success. However, if the next step is confirm attribute with code, we're going to return the message that confirmation code was sent and delivery meeting will be in the email. So it's going to say confirmation code was sent to email. And then we're going to return whatever message we got, either success or confirmation code was sent. However, obviously, if something happens, some issue, we're going to catch an error and console log it and return error, where we're going to check and see if there is error. We're going to show a generic error message again, and there's better ways of implementing that. Next, let's look at the handle update password function. This function is pretty simple, right? We get current password, new password. Again, I'm doing a little bit of a validation. If current password is a new password, I don't have to call update password function, right? If not, we're going to call update password. We put old password, new password, and then we do try catch. If we get an error, we just log it, return string error. If everything goes well, we return success. And again, in the form, there is a logic to display error or success generic messages based on the return error or success. Finally, let's look at a handle confirm attribute function. Again, when we confirming the email, right, with a code, we're collecting the code. If there is no code, we just do nothing. However, if we have a code, we're gonna confirm attribute key, and we know the key is email, right? Sometimes can be phone, so you gotta look at what you confirming, and then we also assign a confirmation code. And again, try catch, console log, return error if it's an error, and return success if everything goes well. All right, let's go and jump in the browser. We'll go to profile page. So let's go ahead and try to change name here. Let's click update name, and name has been updated successfully. Let's go ahead and see if it does persist, right? So let's click on home, let's click back, and the name did persist. And if we switch to Cognito, we'll go to user pool and check out our users. If we click on here, we can also see that the name has changed. Let's go ahead and update an email. So we'll go in a temp mail. We're going to delete what we have so we can get a new email. Let's go ahead and copy the new email, and then we can go to the profile settings page, and we're going to paste the new email right here. And let's go ahead and click update email, and we should be receiving email verification code. Let's go ahead and check it, and we got the code. So let's go ahead and click on that, and let's go back and paste it right here, and let's click verify. And it looks like email verified successfully. Unfortunately, I do not remember the password for this user, so let's go ahead and grab this user right here and check if the password is going to work. So let's go to our application, we'll sign out, and now we're going to use a different user to log in. Let's click login. Now we redirect it again to the dashboard. We can go to profile here, there's a different user. Let's try the password. I'm just typing something in there. And then we can click update. Obviously there is an error, but if we use the real password and try to change it, and we got password updated successfully. This is how you can easily enable users to personalize their experience in your Next.js application with Amazon Cognito. So we basically changed attribute that doesn't need confirmation like name. We changed email, and this attribute as well as the phone number needs to be confirmed. So we got the code and we confirmed it. And finally, we changed the user's password. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to enable users recover forgotten passwords, aka forgot password functionality. I am in Next.js Cognito Auth project in branch 5 reset password start. The final result of this lesson is in 5 reset password end branch. If you would like to follow along, please clone this repo. The link to the repository is in the description. Let's jump into the browser. we are on the login page, and I also added forgot password link. Click here, so we can click on there, and the user has to enter their email. Let's say alex@alex.com. We're going to send the code, and then we're going to enter email again. So in your real application, just save it and pass the email in the URL query string, so you can populate it right here, so user doesn't have to. Okay, we'll just do again alex@alex.com. We're going to put password, whatever password we want, because this is a dummy form, doesn't have any functionality yet. And then the confirmation code, we can put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and yeah, we can just hit reset password, and then it redirects us to the login page when the password is reset successfully. And again, a better user experience would be if you show a toast that the reset password worked successfully. Let's go ahead and check out how it looks in the VS Code. So we have auth, reset password, where we have submit and confirm. And in a submit, we're going to collect the email. And then in a confirm, we're going to collect email, new password, and a confirmation code. So let's go to submit first. Let's go ahead and check out how it looks. We use handle reset password function. We're importing it from Cognito actions, are dispatching this action. We're collecting email, and then we are showing error message if something's going wrong. And we also have send confirmation code button that is disabled when the form is being submitted. Let's go to confirm reset password form. The same deal here. We are using handle confirm reset password function. So again, importing it from Cognito actions. We collecting email, new password, and confirmation code. We click on a reset password button, disabling it while the form is being submitted. So let's go ahead and quickly jump into Cognito actions right here. We have two more functions, handle reset password and handle confirm reset password. Currently, these functions have a dummy implementation. Let's go ahead and do some work so they actually communicate to Cognito. So let's go ahead and scroll all the way up, and we're gonna import a couple more functions. So under update password, we're gonna import reset password and confirm reset password from AWS Amplify Auth. So let's go back. We'll go ahead and delete these dummy functions right here. And we're gonna paste some real code like so. So we have a handle reset password function, right? It calls the reset password. We're gonna provide the username. In our case, it's an email. And if it throws an error, we're gonna get error message and pass it to the form. If everything goes well, we're gonna redirect to reset password confirm page, right? So we're gonna confirm the new password. Handle confirm reset password calls confirm reset password from Amplify library, and it passes an object with a username, which is email in our case, confirmation code, and a new password. Obviously, try catch again. If there is error, we return get error message. If everything goes well, we redirect user to a login page. Let's go ahead, save our changes, and we're gonna switch to the browser to see if everything works. Let's click on a forget password, and it's gonna prompt us to enter the email. And in the temp mail, we still have this new email. So let's copy this, and we're gonna paste it and click send the code. Let's go to temp mail, and let's go back to see if we got a new code in there. And as you can see, we got another verification code. Let's go ahead and open it up and copy the code. All right, let's reset password. Looks like the password that I entered does not conform to the policy. Okay, I made a little bit too much, I guess. Probably didn't use special characters. Let me create a better password. All right, let's try again. And now it is success. We reset the password, so we can go ahead and try using this password. I'm gonna paste the email, and let's go ahead and log in, and login is successful. This lesson concludes our mini-series on how to use Cognito for authentication in your Next.js project. I encourage you to check out Amplify library documentation because it has a lot more stuff. So in order to do that, you're going to go to docs.amplify.aws, and I have a Next.js selected here. And this is the whole section. I have a lot of stuff about authentication, and a few of them we went through, like, for example, sign up, sign in, and sign out. You can also change it to React or Angular or Vue or just simple plain JavaScript. You may have noticed that throughout this tutorial, we haven't used Cognito tokens directly. Amplify library did heavy lifting for us, but if you would like to learn more about Cognito tokens, please check out Cognito token authentication flow video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.